Finally, Ethan has died on Hollyoaks, and it's time to discuss the character assassination of Ethan Williams, a character who is one of the best introduced characters in the last 5 years, and was simply given an absolutely shit stick and made to do some out-of-character actions in order to have him leave. I've been very positive to Hollyoaks, and I've allowed a lot of things to slide, like instead of having, here's Jeremy, he's different from Patrick, we just wanted to bring him back, which is fine because I like him being there enough. I can explain that away. Getting rid of cast favourites like Cindy, Warren. Obviously, Warren probably left on his own accord, but, getting rid of these established names I let slip by because it was a shit stick to be given. But the way that they dispatched of Ethan is insane to me, because he was a servant to the show. Now, I'm not going to lie, as much as I do love Ethan, and I think he's probably my favourite character in the last couple of years, for sure, people are reacting to this like it was Ben Mitchell getting killed off. Like, they're killing off the best character. Can't watch Hollyoaks anymore. He's the best character ever. He's the best fucking character ever. He's the best fucking character. Like, look, a lot of Hollyoaks characters are killed off all the time, and some of them we'd never recover from. I never recovered from Nico getting killed off. I still love Nico as a character, and I wish that she was still on the show and able to grow up. I really do. But Hollyoaks kills tons of characters all the time, and it is quite tragic, but it's also just a matter of fact. If in Hollyoaks you typically make it to 3 years, or you make it to about 25. There we are. There's no in between. Nobody stays for like 10 years and then fucks off. Like, if you're there, you're there, and if you're not, you're gone in a year or two. And Ethan was one of the more favoured characters, for sure. Ethan had been proven, and we'll get into a really good Metro article where they kind of talk with the actor behind it and his thoughts on the exit, which we'll get into later on. But it's just, it's a really rogue thing to do, and I don't understand why you would do that. Obviously, I get that you would need... Well, I think it's because it happened in so many waves. It's like, okay, Ethan hasn't been axed. We're fine. Ethan is fine. He's not been axed. And then they go, yeah, Ethan's being axed. But, as I have been pretty vocal in saying, in the Metro article, they did say, it says, according to Metro, Matthew James Bailey will depart the role of Ethan after 3 years, but the character won't be killed off. And Soap Villain said, I just don't fully believe it. And they were fully correct to do so. So, in case you're watching this and you don't know who the fuck Ethan is, Ethan was introduced as a part of the Chen Williams family. He was Dave's younger brother who had a bit more of a darker side to him. Started off as more of like a criminal character with his girlfriend Maya, who was like controlling and a bit more serious and a bit more kind of more like a sociopath than he was. He still had a lot of empathy. They kidnapped fan favorite Darren Osborne, and she wants Ethan to kill him to prove that he has that killer instinct. Eventually, he lets Darren go free, and in a scuffle, Ethan shoots Maya with the gun. Then he convinces Steve and Sienna and coerces them into burying the body. In the end, he gets fired from working for Norma Crow, the Undertaker, and he also gets into a relationship with Leela at this point, but for the most part, it's all about Ethan and Sienna slowly getting together. They have this electric chemistry, similar to Summer and Sienna, with this ridiculous, like, Jesus Christ, do you guys want me to fucking leave the room? Like, fucking hell, guys. So, Ethan and Sienna, they get together. It's all happy. They're having fun. They're having some funny moments because Ethan is a good comedic actor. It is a true love story. They do genuinely love each other. And they have aspirations of doing something good, doing something big. They need something big to help them actually get the life they want to. But, they're both pretty much unemployed and useless. Excuse me. So they're not going to be able to get this big house and this big garden and a big, nice family for the kids. So they figure out, okay, it's time to go to the horse races. There's a 100-to-1 bet. Time for Sienna to take out all of her life savings, which was 10 grand. And time to times that money by 100. This was going to be their way to make the money. So they go to the horse racing. They get caught off guard. They don't manage to see each other. They get lost. Sienna finds herself in the executive box, where she finds a lovely, lovely Lord Rafferty Harcourt, who also suggests, I've heard this tip, but also you shouldn't go for that one because my horse is better. My horse is better. You should bet on my horse. And so she's swayed away by Rafe, because Rafe is this lord. He is a affluent, member of higher society. It's everything Sienna and Patrick would have wanted her to do. So she is swayed a little bit. She bets on the wrong horse. Ethan's horse wins, and this starts to ensue. They decide, since they're out of money now, they are going to try and get Rafe, who is clearly very rich. They're going to try get him to first give them back the money, and second, it's time to try and con them out of more money. So they overhear that Rafe has a life insurance policy in a way of his money will be unlocked when he gets married. Because apparently his dad was controlling. This bit gets a bit weird. But also we later learn that Rafe has a brain tumor and is dying anyways. So Sienna desperately tries to fall in love with him. And this is a long-term story where it's like a love square, as we introduce Rafe's sister, Dilly, and they start trying to worm their way in. Ethan gets with Dilly for a while. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. But it's really good. It's really good stuff. In the end, Rafe does end up falling for Sienna, and Ethan believes she's gone too far. Now, Ethan is no longer the man she loves, as she has genuinely fallen for Rafe. But in an altercation, it is revealed... well, not in an altercation, but it is revealed that Dilly is actually Rafe's wife instead of sister, and she attacks him when he finally reveals that he wants to get... he wants to get wed to Sienna. And I believe it's on the wedding where she attacks Rafe. Rafe ends up dying to his tumor as opposed to Dilly. Turns out that Dilly is the sister of Sienna and was Patrick's daughter, which is why they've been trying to con them the whole way, but Rafe did generally love Sienna. And so Ethan and Sienna don't get back together. Not yet. Not for a while. They kind of just resume back to their lives. Sienna adapts to having a new sister and later a new dad. And Ethan settles in to working at the loft until the time of the time jump, where Ethan has a little bit of a fling with Vicky. She has the Vicky, who is very interested in him. She genuinely is head over heels for Ethan. They kind of have this will they, won't they, flirty thing, but also it's not exactly all as it seems, as Ethan does keep saying to Sienna that he loves her. And so Vicky and Ethan kind of get together back and forth. This is before the time jump, and then after the time jump, it's revealed that Ethan and Sienna are getting married. And then we slowly start to derail, and we start to learn that Ethan and Vicky were together for a while. At Christmas, they cheated on both their partners to sleep with each other, and that resulted in a baby, which ended up being aborted as neither wanted that child. And we go ahead with the wedding. Sienna is constantly telling Vicky to fuck right off, and this coincides with the wedding, which I believe I've already gone through. At the wedding, they start to get married. It's all happy. Robbie reveals about more truths about Vicky and Ethan being together. This causes problems. This sets Ethan as target number 1. They get married, they're happy, they're all together, and then Vicky shows up. The best soap fight of the year ensues, where Vicky and Sienna get into it. Reveals the truth about the baby. And this then causes a bust-up, as Sienna cannot have any more children. Sienna cannot have kids. So she is furious at Ethan, and all of their happiness is gone, and they start arguing, and everybody can hear them. And Ethan gets sent hurtling down onto a car as he lays dead. But who pushed him? That is what time is going to tell. And simply saying, it's a really shit way to kill off the character. It's a really ass way to kill off the character. Ethan, as said before, is one of the best characters they've introduced in a long time. I don't believe that she is... I don't believe that she... Like, I was always saying that the Chen Williams family was always ass and was just a sunk cost fallacy. But I didn't expect Ethan to be killed off as a result. I thought at least he was going to be kept on the show. And now, just to once again express this, the Stephen Patterson Metro writer, and I'm sure he has a better job title, but he did an interview with Matthew James Bailey, the actor who plays Ethan. It says, Hollyoaks star Matthew James Bailey has broken his silence on the wake of Ethan Williams' on-screen death. Metro confirmed it earlier. They hope the door will be left open for him to return one day, but following the latest episode, the soap bosses have seemingly opted to kill him off. No, you're crying. Known for his devilish wit and his irresistible charm, Ethan played to perfection by powerhouse Matthew, became a proper staple of Hollyoaks over 3 years, with some truly iconic moments. Not to mention his relationship with Sienna, cementing him as a modern-day legend of the show. The character's journey, however, has now reached an end. Following the shock outcome of the wedding, I caught up with Matthew to an exclusive chat to discuss his exit. He confirms he was a casualty of the Hollyoaks cutbacks. He also talks about what Hollyoaks meant to him, his favourite moments, and what future holds for him in the post-Ethan world. Hi Matthew, by the time this chat goes out, your time at Hollyoaks will come to an end. How are you feeling, and can you tell me how your exit came to be? I was absolutely devastated to be leaving the show, made it clear that this is my home and I never thought it would end the way it did. I feel like Ethan had a lot more potential and growth in him, and I would openly say I thought it was time for him to step away. But, to be honest, I don't think it was the right time. I don't think we were finished, so no, it wasn't my choice. I would never walk away from the show. So, immediate fucking... Of course. He said, I would love to be at Hollyoaks for a long time. And I felt like he was one of the characters who could genuinely stay. He was a really good addition. He could do comedy. He could do serious stuff. He was a very capable actor. I said in older interviews, and I'm sure in interviews with yourself, that I could see Hollyoaks being home to me for a very, very long time. As long as the fans wanted me here and I were enjoying what I did, I would always give absolutely everything to the show. Continue to support and champion the show because it's always going to have a very special place in my heart, but yeah, it wasn't my choice to go. With Ethan being a fan favourite character, were you taken aback when you learned that he was not only going to be axed, but that he would be killed off? I was surprised. I do understand that sacrifices need to be made. It's unfortunately part of the job, and if they thought that was the right decision, then I can't really argue with that. I remember going to the meeting and seeing the expression change and just being gutted. Tell what's coming from the tone of someone's voice and the sentence, unfortunately we won't be continuing with Ethan, will stay with me for a while. Hearing those words were heartbreaking. I didn't think it was his time to leave, and I was really shocked by the decision. You try and put a brave face on and think, thank you, I appreciate everything you've given me, but when you walk out that room, it's like your entire world just crumbles away. You work so hard to live your dream, and that's what I was doing with the people around me and the support of the fans, but it can all go away in a second. It's absolutely heartbreaking. I just wanted to go home and sit with myself to try and process what happened. I didn't know how the exit was going to go down at that point. It was originally planned a lot different. There were discussions about if they'd leave the door open, which I expressed in my interest in them doing, I'd walk back into the show with a heartbeat. No, actually, I wouldn't walk back. I'd sprint back with open arms and a smile on my face. But I did want the door to be left open, and it was after a few months after that, when I was told the direction of the story, that he was unfortunately being killed off. I think that was the realization that for me, this journey could well and truly be over, which was gutting. I was devastated by the whole thing. The fans have really flocked to show their support for Ian. What that mean to you? I feel like the luckiest man in the world. Essentially, he is like very happy. He's very happy. Blah, blah, blah. Here we are. That's really good. That's a very nice, touching bit where he says, "I was always happy to bring joy to people's days." We retreat to an unexpected Ethan and Sienna reunion with a time jump, and support for that the two characters got back together just for a little bit. He says, "It was the most important thing, even though I still feel like there is so much unfinished business with Ethan and Sienna. The connection and chemistry that me and Anna Passy had, when you have it, you know you have it, and it feels you struck gold. It makes your job the easiest thing in the world, working with your best mate and making magic that everyone loves and wants to support. I'm glad the characters kind of got a happy ending, in a way. They did become husband and wife, and they deserve that. After everything Ethan went through with Maya and with Dave to finally marry the woman of his dreams, that's all he wanted. Sienna was the one that he finally got to be with, the love of his life. I'm glad in a way, but it's a shame it ended that way it did." Fans have quite a strong reaction to the Vicky story. How did you feel about that? Can't shy away from the fact that it was really difficult for me to get on board with and act it out. I did express my feelings when it was first pitched to me. I did say this was extremely out of character for Ethan. His entire personality was built around him being in love with Sienna. It did seem strange that he went for another girl. I didn't encourage the storyline, and it got to the point where it was, if we're going to do it, then there's going to need to be a crush for Vicky. All props to Anya Lawrence, she's a phenomenal actress. But this just didn't make sense for Ethan in any way. I tried to convey it on screen that it's just a fling for him, but there were a few comments during the last episode about how she was the best thing that ever happened to him, and that is just completely out of character. He said multiple times that Sienna is the woman for him, and you see that via the outcome of her marrying her. But yes, this was a storyline that I pushed back on. You can see that fans weren't receptive to it at all. Ethan owned the loft with Sienna and Grace, and later with Sienna and Warren, but that was never mentioned again. Did you know why he was no longer in charge? I really struggled with that. It was brushed over that Ethan had actually a share in that place. It felt like he went from this prominent character who owned the loft to suddenly being a bartender. I remember saying to directors, why is he taking orders from people if he has a stake in the place? But I think it was brushed over for story, which is strange because there's a storyline in itself, how Ethan lost the loft. It touched on very briefly in flashback scenes where it's mentioned that he sold his shares, but that's it, and that's all that's said about it. But I think it could have been explored a bit. I did try to explore that more, but that was out of my control. We'll keep watching to find out who pushed Ethan. Of course, I can't lie, it's going to be very difficult for me to watch, but at the end of the day, the show has given me everything. I'm just a fan as much as anyone else. I've done my best to champion over the past 3 years, and of course I'll keep watching. I love everyone on there. We are a little family, and I'll continue to support it, but it'll always be my home, but I'll be like part of the fandom now. In terms of what was left for Ethan, what would you have liked to have seen more of? The arrival of Maya's family, perhaps, or the exploration of his relationship with Dave? This is the thing, even when the character did start to fade a bit into the background, it seemed like it's a very prompt position set for a lot of storylines to come. There was so much left undone. Like you said, Maya's family would inevitably be looking for their long-lost daughter, who was responsible for her death. She was a part of this long-lost family. Someone like that doesn't get killed for it to go unnoticed. So there was a much more of a thread, but also Dave now being part of the underworld crime. That was an avenue to explore. Those are little Easter eggs. If you go back and watch one of the first episodes where the Chen Williams family were introduced, I think Dave mentioned something about buying a house for his niece or something. That can mean one thing. Ethan was his only brother, so he may have a long-lost child. I would have loved to have delved back to the dark side of Ethan a bit more. He lost everything last year, and with Sienna going off with Rafe, that would have turned him back to a life of crime. I always liked to see him get more involved with Warren, because they always had this uneasy friendship, very fragile. When they did team up, it made a great watch. He also had a connection with Maxine. I would love to know how much more involved he got in Maxine's life. So, hilariously, he is her uncle. Sharing the scene with Nikki Sanderson, who plays Maxine, is a privilege and is fantastic. I do feel there's so much untapped potential, whether it be romance, comedy, action, or crime. There was a lot unsaid, but then you never know with a soap. I'm sure characters have died before, and they've come back better back better than ever. Like there's quite a lot of you and Ethan and vice versa. How much hand do you have in forming the character? I was so lucky as Lucy Allen let me have free reign with the character. She saw what I was trying to do with him. All I wanted to do with Ethan was to make him as real, relatable, and as human as possible. While not these one-dimensional kidnappers and gangsters, I think a lot of my personality did come through. There were some unscripted moments I went into the show. I tried to think how I'd lighten up the scene a little and do something the fans will love. Sometimes it made it into the screen, sometimes it did not. There was a scene with me and Anna where I had to steal a passport for Dilly to get her out of the country, and that was completely different to what ended up on screen. I walked into Rafe Manor with a boombox dancing up to Sienna. For some reason, he did a magic trick as well, which I absolutely adored because it encapsulated Ethan as a character. He would never lose that childlike spirit that he had, but that was taken out because it became a lot more of a serious scene. Hold on. There are some great scenes over the years. The lovely scene with Starship and Ethan lip-syncing Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, that was a little brainchild of mine. Scene with the Honor and Dave at the loft, and I was speaking to Kieran, the producer, he's phenomenal, who asked about any ideas to line up the scene. I said I was brushing my teeth this morning, and Starship came up on, and I started lip-syncing in the mirror. We could try that. This was all really off the cuff, and the director, Tim Hopewell, really let me go to town with it. We got some really lovely viral moment, and it stayed in. Perfect example of certain things staying in, certain things not. There have been a few times where Dr. Tread, can you make that a little bit smaller? And I do rein it in. But there really was a lot of me in that character, and I adored playing him so much. You mentioned Nothing Gonna Stop Us Now scene, and Ethan recreated the last weekend of the wedding. Nice to recreate the moment one more time. Yes, props to writers on that. I think it's important to get that in there. It was nice to recreate, but more nostalgic and a romantic way. And I was like, I think it'd be great if I lip-sync the opening lyrics, and I thought that's perfect. Important to me to get the elements of what made Ethan and Sienna a thing in the first place in there towards the end. That was a beautiful way to nod to the scene. I mean, how much longer is this? Fucking hell. Fucking hell. What shoots out? The clay pigeon shooting scene. Ethan showed was a literal night. Yeah, that was fun. Audiences particularly responded well to Ethan and Darren's friendship. Was that special one for you too? So special for me. Ashley Taylor Dawson's been has a very special place in my heart. He's been an incredible mentor and even better friend. That man welcomed me into the show with open arms and gave me so much profound advice on what to do and how to conduct yourself as a professional. Friendship you see on screen is very reminiscent of the relationship we see in real life, whether it be cracking jokes on set or going to him for older brotherly advice, like what can I do in this situation? How can I handle it? How can I be better? He's an incredible human being, an actor. I love that man. I had more scenes. There's a nice one where Ethan is talking to him about the wedding and Darren says he can't come. Spoke to the director and asked if I could go off a bit script, so I wanted to say a few words as Matthew to Ashley, but projected in a way that Ethan would be saying it to Darren. I wrote it down, and during that scene, Ash actually teared up. It was a genuine and sweet scene, but it was cut, so I felt like we really missed a key moment, Ethan revisiting him and Darren's friendship, what it meant to him. I wish it could have stayed in, so it's a really powerful, beautiful moment. And it's the last time we're ever going to see Darren and Ethan on screen. And I thought it was going to be really important. The job is the job, and unfortunately it didn't make it. But that moment where I kissed him on the head and tell him I love him, that was a genuine moment, and I wish the fans could have seen the whole thing. When Ethan debuted all those years ago, kidnapped Darren, could you imagine the journey and the character would go on? That's the beauty of the job. You never know where it's going to take you. Sometimes it takes these incredible highs, you get an award nomination, so much positive feedback from fans, but then all of a sudden you come back crashing down to earth when you've told your character's leaving. That is the beauty. Being appreciative of what you got at the time. Ethan and Sienna was one of the most talked about couples in recent memory. Was it the intention to bring the characters together or to happen by accident? To be honest, I think it did happen by accident, and it was just phenomenal. She's an icon, and she's a soap icon. In years to come, people look back at character Sienna and think, wow, that woman is a legend, Anna is incredibly talented. But not just as an actress, she's the most compassionate, loving human I've ever met in my life. I'm so grateful and can't speak highly of her enough. First thing I did with her was she turned up when Ethan admired his body in the back of the van. There was a moment where the two characters lock eyes. You can immediately see that Ethan is enamored with her. That kind of developed and evolved further in later episodes. We see the fans were reacting to this. Kind of snowballed, and thus Ethan was born. That is credit to the fans. It really is. And those fans that can see things that I can't see and the producers can't see. Me and Anna based on our performances, on their feedback, and that's how it all came together. The fans are the real bosses. They know the best for the show. You and Anna work so well together. How is it filming those heightened final scenes that weren't known this to be last time we worked together as Ethan and Sienna? There was a really gutting moment where Sienna finds Ethan's body laid on the car. I'm laid there and she's sobbing in my ear, telling me to wake up. After the yell cut, Anna, bless her, she turned around and spoke to Nikki, but she was still crying. I thought it must have been a long day. It'd be difficult to convey that sort of emotion. Credit to her as an actress, it's incredible. But she told me she couldn't believe it was happening. She couldn't believe that I was actually leaving. I was sitting in the transport on the way back to the base with her, and I started crying myself, thinking, I can't believe this is how it's ending. It's gutting. It was a real somber moment. Realised I don't get to wake up and go to work with her anymore. Have these nice little lunches together and talk about life. I'll be friends with Anna for life, and I'm sure of that. That's fucking tragic, that. Jesus Christ. It's been quite some time. How are you doing now? Has it sunk in yet? It's not a process like you're living a love of a soap. He would have played Ethan forever. Don't think he's fully over it. I'd be wondering what if for the rest of his career. It wasn't finished and it will never be finished to me, so that's really hard. I do sit and think what Mario could have done. I still write scripts in my head regarding what Ethan could have done. I could potentially still do. But if it's ever on the cards for me to come back, then I still would. My next question would be, would you ever go to another soap? He says, I don't know why there's such a stigma and taboo about soaps. It's been the greatest summer of my life. I don't think people realise how diverse the genre is. You get to do everything you possibly can imagine. You're playing a character for life, which means you get hit every single milestone with that character and swap emotions like no other genre of media. I love it with all my heart, the immediate reaction that you get from the fans and the constant content that gets put out to. Of course, I would do another soap in an absolute heartbeat. I would. And finally, Ethan was such a loved character and fans are going to be devastated he's gone. What would you like to say to those who have supported him and you over the years? He says, thank you for being a guiding light in the dark for me. You don't always hear much about the actors' personal lives, but this year in particular has been one of the hardest of my life, whether it be love, family, my own mental health, and my physical health. But the people around me, the cast, and the fans have been so influential and important to me. I love them so much. Whether what you've done for me is incredible, I'll never forget that. Everything I do is for you, the people around me who are lifting me up constantly. You guys get me out of terrible situations in life, and I'll be so endlessly grateful for your support no matter what walk of life I am in. I'll remember these past 3 years for the rest of my life. You have set me on a path I've never ever thought I could achieve. It's been a dream for me since I was a little boy, so thank you for your support. Thank you for the love, and thank you for being you. And thank you for letting me be me. Fucking hell. That's insane. I know that was a bit long, but that is an insanely tragic interview. It's him proving that everything he wanted for the character pretty much is what stuck. Everything he planned and wanted to do as Ethan, everything he wanted to do, he tried and fought for, and he put everything into the character. I still say it's a fucking tragic way to kill off a character with so much potential. As much as everybody says how he was a really great character, at the end of the day, even his stint of time, it wasn't ever enough. It wasn't ever enough. He went from being a gangster to being with Sienna, and then when he stopped being with Sienna, he did nothing for like a year. He did nothing for like a solid year of his fucking time on the show until the time jump. And that's still criminal. There's so much stuff you could have done with the character, and I genuinely could have seen him being on the show for years to come. But the main fucking issue is, you can't exactly just bring back Ethan from the fucking dead, can you? You can. I'd love to say they could, but especially in comparison to all the characters that have left, now it's a bit of a fucking politicking match where it's like, well, you brought back fucking Ethan, but you didn't bring back Cindy. Why the fuck didn't you bring back Cindy or Tom or any of these characters? Like, it's such a terrible position to be in. And as I've said before, I don't tend to judge the Hollyoaks producers for this, but this is simply unforgivable. You have gutted one of the most popular characters that you've introduced in the last couple of years. He's been there for 3 years, and he's been a staple and a favourite of the show. So if you try and sit here and act like it's the right decision to have him die, you don't have him die. Have him cheat death. Have him leave. Have there be an after scene where maybe some people don't see it at the end of the show. Or Ethan just fucking stands up and walks away, realizing, fuck, maybe it wasn't worth it. Maybe it was a bad idea. But no, they had to kill him. For what? For what? What do you gain out of doing this story? Tragedy. But it's Hollyoaks, you don't need more tragedy. Hollyoaks is fucking tragedy around every fucking corner. When Hollyoaks opens up the Christmas calendar, it's fucking tragedy in fucking 20 out of the 25 doors, for fuck's sake. It defeats me. And so much so, the actor went on fucking record to say, yeah, if I get killed off, it's... Well, he basically went, I would stay here for the rest of my fucking life if I had to. I would stay here continually. And it is a devastating way to end the legacy of a character. Because for every character who, as much as we'd love to say, could stand out, he's pretty high up on the list of people I would keep. And the fact that it was a rug pull, it was a fucking like, oh yeah, and he won't be killed off. Just kidding, lol, he's actually get killed off and he's acting out of character and they have assassinated the character. And he has been made to be a irredeemable piece of shit just because he has to leave. And I guess it's a way to feels like it's a way to justify it. It's a way to justify, like, well, he was a dick in the end, wasn't he? It's like, well, fucking only because you dickheads made him. Like, I've been very generous with the Hollyoaks fans. I've been really, really generous. I have been consistently positive, and I've been consistently open and honest. I've been genuine to suggest, hey, look, at the end of the day, it's a shit situation. But the way you're treating age-old characters, and, you know, with Cindy, with James, a lot of with Warren Fox, with fucking Scott, all these characters who have been established for the long haul, just tossed away in the fucking bin. And this isn't a case of, yeah, sure, you probably didn't have much time, but it's also a case of negligence. It's a case of not treating these characters who have served the show with any degree of decency. It's like being given a watch and saying, well, these 50 years have been good, but, you know, we're moving out of people. We need robots now. It's like, well, that's not the fucking same, is it? You know, how respected are you treating these actors when you've just tossed them in the fucking bin? It's criminal. It's criminal. I've given a lot of praise to Hannah Cheers, and I've given a lot of praise to the writing team for navigating this. I think the time jump has been a pretty successful one. But the deaths and the just discarding of characters really makes it hard to believe in. Because as much as Hollyoaks is still the main focus, the characters are the lifeblood of the show. The characters are what keeps it all together. You don't have the drama if you don't have the great actors and the characters on screen. So, as said before, just to entirely gut the characters and just toss them out like they're a fucking filleted fish is absurd. And I don't know if I can fucking say that in many other ways before I explode my little brain. So yes, Ethan has died. Yes, it's probably going to be a whodunit, and yes, it is a absolutely criminal way to discard such a loved character. In a sense, there was a positive ending, but at the same time, they had to gut the character in order to make him fit into the narrative that they tried to do. And now this paints the picture. How much benefit the doubt? How much goodwill do we really give the new producers? How much do we actually believe in the direction? If they're so willing to just completely fuck over established characters, what are they going to do with the characters they've kept over? You know? That's a weird one for me. That's the one I'm not sure how I feel about. And that's the one where this is the first real strike for me. Yes, James's exit was fucking shit, and it's awful that he died, and he had so much potential, and he, once again, could have stayed there for years. I can understand why he was killed, but also, fundamentally, he's one of the best actors the show's ever had. And was proven to be one of the best actors the show's ever had. And with Cindy, you know, a staple of the product, just gets discarded in a couple scenes. This is another strike for Hollyoaks, and they really have to knock it out the park, and I don't think they will. It's a whodunit. It's gonna be Dilly or something, isn't it? It's gonna be Dilly, because it's like, I just need to protect my sister. You've already fucked her over so much. Re-push. That's it. That's all it's gonna be. Oh, it's gonna be Martha for some reason. But the choices are now under scrutiny because we can't trust them to do what's right for the fans. And we can't trust them to actually treat us with any respect, because this is just contempt. Oh, you like Ethan, do you? Yeah, well, now he's a serial cheater and had a baby with someone else. It's like, well, he wouldn't fucking do that though, would he? And to show how devastated the actor is, because he was once again on record saying, I will do this for however long I need to. However long I do and I still love it, I will do it and do it and do it. It's disappointing. And this has been the video discussing the character assassination of Ethan. He has been killed off, discarded like the rubbish, and probably treated like shit. I hate it. It is a really bad sign for the show, and each time the show makes a decision like this, I try to not be the negative one. I try to not be the angry fucking kill all my favorite characters. But if they keep making decisions like this, the fan base will get isolated. The fan base will be like, I don't fucking believe in your characters anymore. I don't believe in your direction anymore. And Hollyoaks is already in a pretty shit place. It's really gonna get questionable as to whether it makes it out of the next year. It genuinely is. But, fingers crossed, they pave the storm, they introduce some new characters. Because, and finally, just to wrap this point around, you introduce like many characters a year. You introduce like 10 to 15 characters in a soap year, pretty much. Like, you introduce a lot of characters. And typically only like 2 or 3 actually make it out that year and make it into a different period of time. Ethan was one of those lightning in a bottle characters. He was able to do anything you gave to him, which is a key point in the show. All of the main characters can both do comedy, they can do serious stuff, and they can do like family drama. They can all do those things for sure. Not everybody can do those things. Not everybody can manage those things. Ethan was a guarantee. It was a sure thing. He was a well-established character. And now you have to introduce new characters to replace these old characters. And will they work the same? We would have had less scrutiny for them had you not have just been gutting the former cast. But as said before, it's your move, you know? Gain the free will back, do some good episodes, because the interest is already waning. And people are already fucking fed up of this new era, and it's only been like 4 weeks. So I tell you, Hollyoaks, you need to piece your shit back together. You need to stop gutting all of these. I think it's just like, I'll just keep fucking spinning my wheels, but the point is, you have to treat the people who have gotten you here with respect. And a lot of these actors have not been shown decency or respect. And maybe it isn't entirely the producer's fault. Maybe it is Channel 4 gutting the show relentlessly. But still, you're the ones at the helm. You need to navigate the ship and make sure everybody gets a satisfying conclusion. And not many people have made a satisfying conclusion. All of which I'll be talking about in my Hollyoaks cast, Hollyoaks 2024 cast. Everyone who was axed and why. Everybody will get their decency, and everybody will be treated with respect and reviewed accordingly. Anyways, this has been a mammoth watching. I've been Ash from Watching Walford. This has been the assassination of Ethan Chen Williams' character. Or of Ethan Williams' character. Thank you for watching. Join me in the next one. See you then. Bye bye.